I think I've bought enough time now, Leanne, to actually get this audience building up. Leanne, we've had some news. We spoke on Thursday afternoon, and we said at some point over the weekend that we would get some news from the government, and that happened today, Leanne.
Yeah, it certainly did. So the good news for all of the tenants, landlords and agents out there is there is clarity now. So we do know exactly what the tenants' obligations are. And as we've been saying all along, tenants are obliged to pay their rent. If they are suffering hardship from COVID-19 and they can demonstrate that they have lost 25% of their income after tax and after benefits, then they need to demonstrate that to their agent and negotiate something between themselves and the landlord.
Okay, so, well, I'm glad I got you there, Leanne, because it's very simple for anyone to actually just read a press article or actually just listen to the news and come up to their own conclusions. And I'm sure that there's more devil in the detail, but what we do know is as much as we can. And what you're saying, Leanne, is when you use the term after benefits, that includes the other benefits that the government has provided, such as job keep and job start and any other benefit they have. Okay, and it's net. It's after tax, is it?
Correct. Yep, that's right.
Okay, and Leanne, there's something about $440 million that's been offered by the government to be split between commercial and resi. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so that, from what I can understand, is about land tax.
Right.
Now, the reality is that, so that's great for our commercial landlords and tenants, but the reality is that the majority of our landlords in residential are not going to be paying land tax, or if they are, they're not going to pay a lot, because we've got land tax comes in. So it's the rate gets changed every 31st of December. 31st of December this year, they decided that any land value over $734,000, you would have to pay land tax on. And that's the combined value. So if you've got multiple properties, you combine their land value and you pay tax on that amount. But the reality is it's nearly 73% of landlords only own one property. And so there's not a huge amount of property in Australia that's going to have a lot, or sorry, in New South Wales, that the land value is going to be massively over sort of $750,000. I mean, a little bit, but it's not going to be huge, right?
Okay, so it sounds like for most people, where they're not going to be able to access the land tax announcement because they only own one property, and the threshold means that they're actually not paying that much land tax. For a small group of people that are paying a lot of land tax, it sounds like they can actually ask for a refund or get a waiver, and that's good. But more importantly, Leanne, it actually has given a framework now to a tenant and a landlord and a property manager, I suppose, to have a conversation with a few boundaries around it. You know? That's
exactly right, and that's exactly what we've been asking for since the Prime Minister came out with his no eviction policy. It feels like that was months and months ago, but it really wasn't. So basically, the tenant has to prove that they are suffering hardship of more than a 25% decrease. They need to be able to provide a termination of their employment or a reduction of their hours. They need to be able to provide demonstration of what they were getting paid net after tax before that downturn. And then they need to talk to their real estate agent, who will talk to the landlord and hopefully negotiate an outcome. If they can't negotiate something that's acceptable for everybody, then they're going to have to go to Fair Trading. Fair Trading have got mediators that will hopefully then be able to negotiate a suitable outcome. If they still can't negotiate an outcome that everybody agrees to, they then go to NCAT, and NCAT will make a decision.
Okay, that's beautiful. Very thorough, Leanne. I want to thank you. And to me, the two main things I get out of it is that if you're a tenant and you're watching this and you've got genuine hardship, the good news is now that you've got a framework to be able to get your paperwork together to show that. If you're a tenant that actually thought to themselves, hey, I'm just going to call the agent and let them know that it's a tough time, COVID-19, I'm just going to see what they can do for me. That's sort of not going to cut it, because there's actually a process now. There's paperwork that you need to suffice.
Yep.
And if you're a landlord here, the government's done their bit, so you probably need to actually come to the party and be a little bit compassionate over a short period of time. Yep. If you've got a genuine request there from a tenant that meets the criteria of putting that paperwork, and if you are a landlord that is paying a significant amount in land tax, you will get some small benefit. Leanne, I want to thank you so much. You're working around the clock. I know that you're listening out to every possible announcement, and we're getting some good feedback from the real estate agents of New South Wales on the work that you're doing. So well done.
Great. Thank you so much. Just two things, if I may, before I go. There is a template on the Fair Trading website that can help tenants go through the process. And secondly, any reduction in rent that is agreed, tenants shouldn't assume that they don't have to pay that back at the end once this is all over. The landlord might decide to say you don't have to pay it back, but they do have to negotiate that as well.
Okay, that's a good point. So make sure that you're clear in your negotiation with the landlord / the agent, if the agent's having it on behalf of the landlord, which most people are. Be clear. Is it going to be paid back later, or it's a permanent discount? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what we'll do is, Leanne, I presume the easiest thing for us, to all the people that watch these streams on Facebook, if I put in the comments the link to the REI, is that where they would get the template? Is it REI News? Is it the
Fair Trading? But I've got a few links that I'll flick you through that goes through all of the information quite clearly. So I'll do that for you now.
Okay, thank you so much, Leanne.
Okay, thanks a lot, Tom.
Okay.
Bye.